Choose faithfulness. Return to the Lord. Psalm 106 is a prayer that looks honestly at history, not to dwell in shame, but to awaken the heart. It is a reminder that faith is not only about blessings received, but about choices made. These verses challenge us to reflect on how easily we forget God's goodness and how urgently we need His mercy. Blessed are those who do what is right. The psalm begins with a promise. Blessed are those who observe what is right, who do justice at all times. Remember me, O Lord, when you show favor to your people. Blessedness here is not comfort or ease, it is alignment with God's will. To do what is right at all times requires courage, perseverance, and trust. The psalmist understands that righteousness is not a solo effort. It depends on God's grace. That is why the prayer is simple and humble. Remember me, O Lord. This motivates us to seek not perfection, but faithfulness. When we ask God to remember us, we are asking Him to guide, strengthen, and sustain us. The danger of blending in. The psalm then recalls Israel's failure. They mingled with the nations and learned their works. They served their idols, which became a snare for them. This is a powerful warning. The people did not abandon God outright, they slowly blended in. They adopted values, habits, and priorities that pulled them away from their identity. Motivation comes from awareness. When faith loses its distinctiveness, it loses its power. We are called to live in the world, but not be shaped by everything the world values. Compromise may seem harmless at first, but it often leads to deeper captivity. The cost of false worship, the psalm continues. They sacrificed their sons and daughters to demons. This is shocking language meant to awaken us. It shows how far the people had fallen when God was replaced. When we lose sight of God, even what is most precious can be harmed. While our context is different, the message remains urgent. What do we sacrifice for success, acceptance, or comfort? Time, integrity, relationships, faith, God's anger, and God's grief. Finally, the psalm declares, the anger of the Lord was kindled against His people, and He abhorred His inheritance. This is not anger rooted in cruelty, but in grief. God's anger flows from love betrayed. God is wounded by His people's choices because He desires their life, not their destruction. This motivates us to return not out of fear alone, but out of love. God's discipline is meant to awaken, not to abandon. Motivation for our lives today. Psalm 106 calls us to honest reflection. Are we choosing what is right, even when it is hard? Where have we blended in instead of standing firm? What has become a snare in our lives? God's mercy remains available. History is remembered not to condemn us, but to teach us. Conclusion: return and be renewed. Psalm 106 reminds us that faithfulness matters. Choices matter, but so does mercy. When we turn back to God, He remembers us. When we choose justice and faithfulness, we are blessed. When we repent, God renews. Let this reflection motivate us to live intentionally, love faithfully, and return wholeheartedly to the Lord who never stops calling His people home.